Screen as okay. Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to another session of Srimad Bhagavatam. Early morning, that's wonderful. We have Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Thanks to all the organizers. So today we will continue discussing from Canto 2, which is the cosmic manifestation, and Chapter 5, the cause of all causes, or Sarva Karana Karanam. It's also popularly called as Narada Brahma Samhata or Brahmanarada Samvada. So I'm just sharing my screen. We'll read the shlokas. We will go ahead and do the invocation, and then we'll do the discussion. Okay, so we'll first start off. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम् पादं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Ram, Ram.
Okay, so we have already seen the first half. We'll start from shloka 21. What I will try to do is read shloka 21 translation and purport. Then, subsequently, after setting the context, we will read the translation, and wherever it's needed, we will read the purport or glimpses of the purport that I have made some notes for myself. Okay, so shloka 21. Kalam karma swabhavam cha maya mayesho mayaya swaya atman yadrichaya praptam vibhubhushur upadade. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by His own potency, eternal time, the fate of all living entities and their particular nature for which they were created, and He again merges them independently. Purport: the creation of the material world, wherein the conditioned souls are allowed to act subordinately by the Supreme Lord, takes place again and again after being repeatedly annihilated. The material creation is something like a cloud in the ultimate sky. The real sky is the spiritual sky, eternally filled with the rays of the Brahmajyoti, and a portion of this unlimited sky is covered by the Mahatattva cloud of the material creation, in which the conditioned souls who want to lord it against the will of the Lord are put into play as they desire, under the control of the Lord by the agency of his eternal energy. As the rainy season appears and disappears regularly, the creation takes place and is again annihilated under the control of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8.19. So, the creation and annihilation of the material worlds is a regular action of the Lord, just to allow the conditioned souls to play as they like and thereby create their own fate of being differently created again in terms of their independent desires at the time of annihilation. The creation therefore takes place at a historical date, as we are accustomed to think of everything which has a beginning to in our tiny experience. The process of creation and annihilation is called anadi, or without reference to date regarding the time the creation took place, first took place. Because the duration of even a partial creation is 864 crore years. The law of creation is, however, as mentioned in the Vedic literatures, that it is created at a certain intervals and is again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The whole material or even the spiritual creation is a manifestation of the energy of the Lord, just as the light and heat of a fire are different manifestations of the fire's energy. The Lord therefore exists in his impersonal form by such expansion of energy and the complete creation rests on his impersonal feature. Nonetheless, he keeps himself distinct from such creation as the Purnam or complete, and so no, no one should wrongly think that his personal feature is not existent due to his impersonal unlimited expansion. The impersonal expansion is a manifestation of his energy, and he is always in his personal feature despite his innumerable unlimited expansions of impersonal energies, confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.5 to 7. For human intelligence, it is very difficult to conceive how the whole creation rests on its expansion of energy. But the Lord has given a very good example in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that although the air and the atom rest within the huge expansion of the sky, which is like the resting reservoir of everything materially created, still the sky remains separate and unaffected. Similarly, although the Supreme Lord maintains everything created by his expansion of energy, he always remains separate. This is accepted even by Shankaracharya, the great advocate of the impersonal form of the Absolute. He says, Narayana paro avyaktat, or Narayana exists separately apart from the impersonal creative energy. The whole creation thus merges within the body of the transcendental Narayana at, at the time of annihilation, and the creation emanates from his body again with the same unchanging categories of fate and individual nature. The individual living entities, being parts and parcels of the Lord, are sometimes described as Atma, qualitatively one in spiritual constitution. But because such living entities are apt to be attracted by the material creation actively and subjectively, they are therefore different from the Lord. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Stavadutta Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पाञ्छः कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Okay, Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Um, very technical chapter we are reading. So last week's class, I was hearing from Ramchandra Prabhu. He tried to cover such a technical topic in a very nice way. So we will try to cover it in the bits that we can understand. Okay. So I'm again sharing my screen. I'm using the Bhagavad Shubodhini. For devotees who know this, this is a very easy reference guide. I'm not saying easy. At least it's logically put reference guide that we can always use to understand the flow of how things are going. So we'll touch upon what is the background a bit. So we know that Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadev Goswami about creation. So Sukadev Goswami, instead of just directly telling him about creation, he says, "Let me actually answer this question to you by giving you more details, because this question yours is very small. There is a larger bit of this question that's asked by Narad Muni to his father, who was Brahmaji. Okay, that conversation between Narad Muni and Brahmaji, Brahmanarad's Sambhashana is what is it that we are going to discuss, and he actually is going to tell him who is the cause of all causes regarding the creation. Okay. Now, someone might very easily ask, what we have heard about Srimad Bhagavatam Prabhu is it's going to talk about Krishna's pastimes, the different leelas of Krishna. It's so wonderful, so nice. But why are we here talking about things so technical? Why are we talking about creation, how the pieces came in, how they merged? Why do we need to know this? Uh, Simple couple of reasons that I can think of. First one, for any Purana to be called a Mahapurana, it has to cover certain topics, including the very creation. That's one of the most important reasons. Second one, people will have different inclinations for coming to the spiritual life. And Bhagavatam fulfills whatever kind of thirst you have. If you're very logical, if you're trying to do everything very scientifically, or if you want pastimes, if you're very emotional, if you want to know about different people, different characteristics, different varnas, all kind of varieties are available in Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't need to go beyond Srimad Bhagavatam at all. So all the details are available right here. Okay, that is one of the important reasons why you will see a lot of topics that look like, hey, this is not talking about Lord Krishna's pastimes. No, they are actually talking about Krishna's pastimes, but with probably a different mood or a variety covered in it. Okay, so we have about 42 shlokas in this. In fact, we have 42 shlokas. The first set of shlokas talk about Narada's question to Brahmaji. So he asked six questions. We will actually see those six questions because it's important, like Edrupam, Ed Shrishtam, and so on. So we'll actually cover to that. Then how Brahmaji actually answers each of these questions. So we have already seen in the previous Saturday class on Yadrupam, or how is the form of this creation, and Yad Adhishtanam. Okay, you'll also see Yad Paramam, who is the Parama, who is the ultimate, and then from Shloka 21 onwards, he's going to talk about the Shrishti. Okay, so that's the part that we will try to cover today. Shloka 21 to 42. We are going to see the two types of Shrishti, which are extremely technical. I'll try to answer to the best, or I'll try to talk about it to the best of my knowledge. Devotees who have questions can always go back and read the purport, listen to other acharyas' conversations around this. Then we will see from Karana and Karya Shrishti, the Lord talks, Brahmaji is going to talk about the Lord's Virata Rupa. Now, this Virata Rupa, how is it coming? Is it factual? Is it imaginary? Is it somewhere in between? How should we understand? What are the classifications of this Virata? It's covered in about 5 6 shlokas. So we'll talk about the different varnas that form the Virata Rupa itself. We'll talk about the Virata Rupa in terms of planetary systems, and also there is slight more details about how the Virata Rupa can be split into higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. Okay, so that's what we'll try to cover today. For devotees who have questions, keep it to the end. We will try to answer to whatever we can get our details covered around. Okay. Now, first part, we'll talk about Yadrupam. Sorry, the six questions of Narad Muni. Okay, so we'll start here. So Narad Muni is asking to Brahmaji. Brahmaji, in actually that one shloka, right, one piece itself, he's asking Yadrupam. What are the symptoms of this manifest world, or what are the qualities of this manifest world? Yad Adhishtanam. What is this? What is its shelter? Yata Shrashtam, how is it created? Yet Samstham, how is it conserved? Yet Param, what it depends on? Yaksha, what is it composed of? Okay. Now, Yad Rupam, Yad Adhishtanam, we have already seen. Yatha Shishtam is what we will see today. Okay. We have already covered Shloka 21. We have at least read through the Shloka 21. So we will continue to discuss. Okay. So before that, let me actually put some context to it, right? Now, what are we seeing? We are going to talk about Brahma Narad Samvad around the creation aspect. Okay. Now, the chapter is called the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. Now, uh, what do you mean by cause of all causes? Okay. In simple, for everything in the material realm that we see today, there are three causes. Okay. Some what are they called as? Some is called the primary cause or the immediate cause, the intermediate cause, and the ultimate cause. So if you remember from the previous chapter, previous class, you would have heard Brahmaji saying, Narad Muni is asking Brahmaji, for me, it looks like everything you are doing, you are the creator, yet you are meditating on something. How do I understand this concept? And Brahmaji says, oh, you know what? There is Narayana, who is actually the creator of everything, including me. Okay, he uses that specifically, say, including me. He is the creator. Okay, so there are nice analogies or examples that devotees give. So I'll take a couple of examples so we can understand. Now, for this immediate cause, your intermediate cause, and the ultimate cause. Okay, let's take an example of a train. Okay, so there are different bogies and there is this engine. So that's how the train is formed. Now, the let's say bogie number five. For bogie number five to move, who is pulling it? Simple. Bogie number four is pulling it. Correct? S- you understand, right? How the trains are connected. So the immediate cause is the bogie number four. That is actually pulling it. Now, is that bogie number four independent by itself? No. So there are more immediate causes for it. So the intermediate cause for bogie number five to move is the bogie number one. That is causing all the bogies to move, and so all the bogies are moving. That's the intermediate cause. And ultimate cause, we all know. How are all the bogies moving? All the bogies are moving because of the engine. Okay, that is called the ultimate cause. So we have immediate cause bogie 4, the intermediate cause bogie 1, and the ultimate cause, which is your engine. Simple. How am I born? I'm born. Immediate cause are my biological parents. Correct? My father and my mother. The ingredients that are put in together are given by Lord Brahmaji. And obviously, the ultimate cause is the Supreme Lord. Okay, this bogie example, you understand. So, because in the previous shlokas, we had discussed about Jivatma and Paramatma, the Jiva and Paramatma role. So, Brahmaji very clearly says, I am Jiva Tattva and there is Vishnu Tattva. There is a difference between me and the Vishnu Tattva. Okay, so what does it mean? You can be bogey number five today. You are going to be immediate cause for bogey six. You're going to be somewhere intermediate cause for other bogies, but you can never be the ultimate cause. You can be a Jiva today. You can be the father today. You can be even Lord Brahma someday. You can never be the Supreme Lord. Okay, I'm hoping this is clear because more details in this chapter are going to be more technical by nature. They are not going to be easy. So I will try to demystify as much as possible. Okay. Now we all know there are 10 topics in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Uta, Manvantara, Nukata, Ishanukata, Nirodha, the Ashraya, right? So these are the 10 topics. Don't worry about it. We'll be covering these 10 topics when you read Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So basically, the Sarga means the primary creation, the elementary creation, and Visarga is the secondary creation. Okay, Brahmaji creates. It's not at all wrong, right? Brahmaji is the creator of what? Of the planetary systems, of the jivas that come into the planetary systems, what the jivas will get, and so on and so forth. He's doing a lot of stuff. Okay, but the primary creation, which is the sarga, is actually done by the Supreme Lord. He provides the ingredients. He provides everything. Okay, and What is the background? Like I just said, like Parikshit Maharaj asking Sukadeva Goswami, you know what? I'll tell you the story of Narad Muni. Okay. So here it is important for us to understand position of Narad Muni as well. Okay. Very briefly, but very quickly, we'll actually understand the personality of Narad Muni. Because whatever he does, wherever he goes, whatever position he does as a duty for the Supreme Lord. Everything that he does has a very specific, very significant cause. Okay, even these questions that are being asked. In fact, if you just look at whatever Narad Muni stories are covered by in Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see the kind of people he goes and meets. He goes and meets Dhruva Maharaj in the forest. He makes him a devotee. He meets Kayadu and makes Prahlad Maharaj a wonderful devotee. Okay, he goes to the forest of, sorry, he goes to the palace of Kamsa and the Asuric king, and then he ensures all the demigods are coming there, and he actually fast forwards the process of getting the Supreme Lord through Kamsa. He goes to the forest, makes Nagari a devotee. Like that, wherever he goes, he creates a very significant impact. That is his greatness. And when he's coming to Brahmaji and asking these questions, you know, it is going to create a very important detail for us. What is it? We should not get confused about who the ultimate creator is, who is the ultimate cause of all causes, and who best to tell who is the right person. It is the person that we think is the creator. Okay. In fact, Brahmaji very clearly clarifies that in the subsequent way. When we see the definition, we'll see that okay, it's not just starting with Karana. The Karana also has Lord Shiva's tinge to it, so that even Lord Shiva is covered, Brahmaji is covered, and Vishnu is covered. So everything is clearly covered. We don't have any gray areas. That is the best from the scriptural perspective. Okay. And Brahmaji actually is already told Narad Muni, and he will actually continue to tell Narad Muni that, look, my dear Narad Muni, you will be able to understand this because you have that mode of surrendering to the Supreme Lord. And in fact, it glorifies Narad Muni, saying that I know why are you asking this also. Okay, it's not easy for the Jiva Tattvas or very proud to actually understand this, but I know Narad Muni, you will be able to understand. You will be able to get through this. Okay, so again, we have set the context. We have not done a lot of discussion. Let's continue. Okay, now we are getting into the shlokas that are going to talk about the Shrishti. Okay, like I said, Karana Shrishti and Karya Shrishti. Let's read the translations and we'll continue for some shlokas and we'll come back to discussing those shlokas. We'll try to basically cover till shloka 31 for Karana Shrishti and till shloka 35 for Karya Shrishti, and then we'll go to the Virat Rupa. We have lots, but we'll try to cover as much as possible. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karana Navashaya Vishnu, the Mahatattva or the principles of material creation take place. And then time is manifested, and in course of time, the three qualities appear. Nature means the three qualitative appearances. They transform into activities. Okay. I'll continue. I'll pause and then explain the whole sequence in one piece. I can probably share my screen. Uh, Material activities are caused by the Mahatattva's being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the modes of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play. Then Ahankar, the self-centered materialistic ego, thus being transformed into three features, become becomes known as the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance in three divisions, namely the powers that evolve matter, knowledge of material creation, and the intelligence that guides such materialistic activities. Narada, you are quite competent to understand. Okay, like I said, he is telling Narad Muni, you are actually competent to understand. From the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements, namely the sky is generated, its subtle form is the quality of sound, exactly as the seer is in relationship with the seen. Okay, these are set of shlokas. Talk about each of this, don't worry. Because the sky is transformed, the air is generated with the quality of touch. By previous succession, the air is also full of sound and the basic principle of duration of life. Sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength when the air is transformed is in course of time and nature's course. Fire is generated, taking the shape with the sense of touch and sound. Since fire is also transformed, there is manifestation of water, full of juice and taste. As previously, it also has form and touch and is also full of sound. And water, being transformed from all variegatedness on earth, appears odorous and, as previously, becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form, respectively. Okay, two more slokas. From the mode of goodness, the mind is generated and becomes manifest, as also the 10 demigods controlling the bodily movements. Such demigods are known as the controllers of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Daksha Prajapati, the Ashwini Kumaras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deity in heaven, the chief of Adityas and Brahmaji. The Prajapati all come into existence. Lastly, by further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlets for evacuating together with intelligence and living energy are all generated. Okay, okay. Hope everyone understood. Should we move on? Let me actually share Shubhodini itself. In fact, I will do something. Let me read from my notes. It'll make it easy. Okay. So we are in this question that answers Yatha Shashtam. That is, what are the uh, Shishtis, basically, Karana and Parishishti. The first thing that we need to understand is Karana itself means cause. So we know who is the cause, the person who's sleeping on the causal ocean, who is Karanodakashayi Vishnu. So the first cause happens to be your Karanodakashayi Vishnu. How does the creation happen? Okay, by his glands, by his glands, he impregnates the material creation. This glands of Mahavishnu is actually Karnadaksha Vishnu is also called Mahavishnu. This glands of Mahavishnu is also called is nothing but Shambhu. Shambhu or Lord Shiva, he actually touches the material and energy. Mahavishnu never touches the material energy. Okay, so we'll come back to the three Vishnus in a bit. Let me just share the notes that we are seeing here. Okay, so we are talking about this. So from Mahavishnu, he impregnates. So we have the first three things: Kala, the time factor; Karma, okay, and activities and Swabhava, the nature. Okay, please remember the jivas are not yet come into picture. Okay, this is the raw ingredients that come into picture. What happens to these three? What we have read so far, these three actually come into the pradhana. Okay. Now, for devotees who remember Pradhana's explanation in Bhagavad Gita or earlier in Bhagavatam, you will know that Pradhana is what? The unmanifested total mixture. Everything is there in Pradhana. It is not doing anything. Okay. Unless someone actually puts a finger and mixes them up, Pradhana is unmanifested in nature. Okay. What do you mean by everything is there? It's got the mode of nature, it's got the material elements, it's got the causes, it's got the ahankar, it's got the intelligence, the buddhi, the consciousness. Everything is there in Pradhana, but everything is bundled together. Okay, there is nothing else that is happening. So when someone actually mixes these up and the elements come out, that's basically your Big Bang theory. No, if I look at material science, there is lot of relationship where the material science is trying to derive out of what is being spoken. Okay, when the pradhana is agitated by the Supreme Lord, Mahatattva comes into picture. Now, Mahatattva is the immediate manifestation of all this that is there in pradhana. Firstly, your gunas come out, your three modes come out. Okay, so mode of goodness, Mahatattva, and mode of passion, Rajas. These are the basic modes that come out. Okay, and then obviously the most important thing, the ahankar come out, and ahankar or the false ego in this case is predominantly in the mode of ignorance or tamas. Though everything is flowing, right? So the series of evolution. This reminds me, there was someone who was actually talking about evolution. You know what? Darwin's theory actually talks about evolution. Oh, the Shastras very clearly talk about evolution. Uh, Unfortunately, in case of Charles Darwin, his son died very early, and he was really angry on the Lord. And he said, "I'm a scientist. I will prove that God doesn't exist." And to fairly good extent wherein atheists are concerned, he was successful in giving this knowledge. So we should be very careful about how much we should accept from the theory of evolution. It's a theory. What we are seeing is something that has a very logical flow that has not changed for generations together. And what is the thing that doesn't let us accept? That is our ahankar in the mode of passion, in the mode of ignorance. I I am worshipping, so that should be the best God. I am important. Everything is working centered around me. That ahankar is the problem that we have. Anyway, that's going on. Now, whatever we saw there from ahankar downward, we'll actually see it on screen here. I'm hoping all of you are able to see my screen. Okay. So this ahankar predominantly is in the mode of tamas, has three pieces, right? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. All the gunas and in the pradhana, agitated, come down to mahatattva. Mahatattva in the mode of further goodness, passion, and ignorance. Ignorance comes out. Ahankar, it also has all the gunas. From ahankar, what happens? Three things, right? The karta or the doer, the karana, the cause, and the karya, the effect. These come out. Okay, understand as much as you want, but these are some things that we already know, not that we do not know. Okay, uh, if we already know Bhagavad Gita to a fairly good extent and we have seen or heard Bhagavatam, ये तो हमें भी पता है, why is Narad Muni asking such things? Okay, there are a lot of details to it. That's why I said Narad Muni's position is wonderful. He wants to give that knowledge, wants to ensure that you don't miss out on it. Okay, so this Karta, Karana, and Karya, they are further drilled down. Okay, okay, Karta, the doer, is basically to understand the doer, we need Jnana Shakti, and Kriya Shakti is the one which will help us do any of the causes. And Dravya Shakti or the elements. Dravya we heard last class, I'm sure. The elements, the source elements and all that. So Dravya Shakti will do the Karya part. These are classified as Adi Deva, Adhyatma and Adi Bhuta. Now we remember Adhyatmic, Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik. These are the three kinds of mysteries. In the mysteries we heard, but these are the three things that always happen. Okay, subtle to gross. We understand Adibhuta, Adhyatma, and Adideva. Okay, so here we'll start from the left side, Adibhuta. So during the translation, we were hearing about Adibhuta. So Adibhuta further gives out the gross elements. Like I said, this is more grosser. Five tanmatras and the five elements. Now, earth, water, fire, air, ether. We already know these elements. They actually come from one another. Okay, now the most subtle element is your sound. Correct. So if you look at the causes, if you look at people talking about it, you will see that okay, everything started with the omkar. Okay, even in Christianity they actually said everything starts with sound. So sound is your the base cause in this tanmatras. Okay, from sound comes ether or sky that we know. Okay, it has its existence. Scientifically, if you have to speak, then how sound travels in space, what is vacuum, and if you look into all that, you will understand. But not going to too much into technical there. Okay, sound is a cause for ether. From ether comes the sense of touch. Um, okay, meaning you can only hear the ether. You can't touch, feel it, right? But next grosser element is your air. Now, air you can actually touch, right? You can actually feel it. The sense of touch is come. You can also hear the air. When the air is moving, you can hear it. You can capture the hearing. Like that, as the gross elements grow, the previous quality that is there, is carried forward. That's what the translation it said, right? So, it's going back to the translation. So, if you look at translations, they actually will talk about how the previous elements are causing what's happening. Okay, as previously, that kept coming. Okay, as previously. So that means here, going back to this, so air has the quality of both ether and air. Okay, that means you can actually get into the grosser element. Then comes form. So fire has a form. You can touch it, you can feel it, you can also hear the fire. Next, obviously, is the water. Water has taste. Fire we have not tasted. So water has taste. Okay, and then finally the earth. Earth has smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Everything is there in earth. So all the elements here, the gross elements in a sequence that comes up. Okay, clear? These are all coming from the Adi Bhuta, which is coming from the Dravya Shakti or the Karya Shakti of Ahankar in the mode of ignorance. Okay, this Ahankar that's coming from Mahatattva to Pradhana to the Supreme Lord Mahavishnu. This is the flow only for Adibhuta. Now we'll move to Adhyatma and Adideva. Now this Adhyatma is the reason for prana, life air, the ten senses and the intelligence. Okay, prana and intelligence we already know. What are the 10 senses? These are absolutely gross senses. Okay, ears, eyes, skin, nose, tongue, hand, feet, voice, anus, and genitals. This part I don't need to explain. These are the senses that we have. And then the Adideva is the mind and the 10 sense devatas. Each of these senses work through a devata. Okay. The Dig devatas, the Surya, Vayu, Ashwini Kumaras. Tongue by Varuna, hands, Indra, feet is Upendra, voice is Agni, and so on. Right? Mitra and Prajapatis. Genitals is Prajapatis. We all know the reason for progenation. Okay. Now, a simple question. Are we not talking about creation's Karana? Already you're talking about Surya, Vayu, Varuna. Have they all come? So what is the role of Brahma? Well, they have not come. These are the roles. Okay. The roles are mentioned. The job description is mentioned. Okay. Surya, you have to, the role of Surya is taking care of the eyes. What other job description he has to provide? Heat, light, he is the cause for so and so, the day, night, time, everything is the job description. So what we are seeing here is the Karana, not the personalities. Okay, the senses, what they do, how are they coming, that's also done. And Devatas are also coming. These are all positions, not persons, not personalities. Okay, now do we really know this? If you go into any of the Ayurvedic doctors or if you go to old temples and so on, you'll actually see some of these being relevant, right? For example, they will tell early morning if you actually worship Surya, you actually look at Surya, offer water to Surya, your eyes will not have problems. Okay. I remember when in my childhood, my parents used to take me to, I mean, not me, but we as family, we used to go to this place called Payani, Lord Subramania's temple. There, they would actually have different, the silver uh, slabs, little pieces, where they will offer different parts of the body, different limbs of the body, okay, to one place. I don't know that place. I haven't gone there recently, but I why they offer is they say if you have a problem with your hands, if you have a problem with your feet, if you have a problem with your ears, you take that, you pray, and you offer it to that devata there, and that devata will take care of that part. Okay, does it mean I don't need to go to doctor? It means that if you are intelligent enough, you will not get any disease. Don't worry about material body. But what I'm saying is, we have already seen this in our day-to-day life, in our culture in India. Most of us would have actually gone through some of this. It's not new for us. Just that we now understand what is the source for this. How is it coming, and how should we understand, or how should we take it forward? Okay. So, like I mentioned, this entire slab till the shloka forms our Karana Shrishti. Okay, we have finished till shloka number 31, Karana Shrishti. We have another 11 shlokas. We will go back here. We'll continue from shloka 30. Okay, that is your Karya Shrishti. Shloka 32. O Narada, best of the transcendentalists, the form of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled. Okay, who Brahmaji is telling this? Okay. Thus, when all these become assembled by force of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this universe certainly comes into being by accepting both the primary and secondary cause of creation. I'll explain this in a bit. We'll finish two more shlokas. Thus, all the universes remained thousands of eons within the water, the causal ocean, and the Lord of living uh, beings entering in each of them caused them to be fully animated. The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in the causal ocean, came out of it and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he enters into each universe and assumed the Virat Rupa with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Okay, these four or five shlokas from 32 to 35, right? So these four shlokas are basically what we call as Karya Shrishti. Okay. Now, uh, fundamental understanding. So in the previous piece, we saw all the elements being created, all the elements, their positions, everything is allocated. No personality is yet common, right? And all this is done by who? Karanodakashaya Vishnu, under the guidance of Karanodakashaya Vishnu. All this is in the material sphere only, in the causal ocean or the Karana ocean. Okay. From there comes the next set. So a Brahmanda, just going back to the fundamentals, like a Brahmanda is one universe of Brahmaji, right? It's the universe, entire universe. This comes from the pores of Mahavishnu or Karnodakasha Vishnu. When he breathes out, the Brahmanda comes out. He breathes in, the Brahmanda goes back. And that is the lifetime of one Brahmanda, which is equal to the lifetime of one Brahmaji. Almost a little less than that is Brahmaji's lifetime. Now, when this Brahmanda comes out, the subtle roles are all created. No, these are not animated yet, right? So they are not doing any actions. So for them to do actions, who enters? Hiranyagarbha or Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. So after 1,000 years of inactivity, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu enters. So Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is the super soul of the universe. Clear? So we all talk about how the body cannot function without the super soul. Kshirodaksha Vishnu comes as the super soul within the body. For the body to be animate, Garbhodaksha Vishnu is the super soul of the universe. The universe becomes animate. Okay, so we have the Mahatattva, the Ahankara, the five Tanmatras, the gross element, 11 senses, all these things in unmixed state. Now, through the Maya Shakti, it is mixed up, it's manifesting. Okay, and with the Lord coming in as Hiranyagarbha, he makes sure that these have actions caused. Okay, now there was a very nice term here. Okay, 33, right? Now, that's when all these become assembled by the force of energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This universe certainly came into being by accepting both the primary and secondary causes of creation. Primary cause of creation is the Supreme Lord. He gives all the ingredients. Now, the cooking part of it, the secondary cause of it, is Brahmaji. He is going to assemble. All the raw ingredients are given to him. He's going to assemble because he will assemble it based on the two things. One, the knowledge that he is received. That is his role. Second one, he also has a certain desires that he wants to fulfill based on the algorithm of each jiva. He runs through that program. He puts the jiva, a body, and the jiva come out here. That means you need to get a human body. I need to get an animal body. Someone else gets a tree body. Someone else get an inanimate body. That process Brahmaji takes care. Okay, clear. So both primary and secondary causes of creation, the sarga and visarga aspect of creation is common. Okay, so this is about the creation. What happens post that in 35th shloka we saw? So this though Mahavishnu is lying there, he divides himself, comes in as Hiranyagarbha, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and he enters each universe, making them work, and assumed the form of Virata Rupa. Okay, now the next set of details from 36 to 42 are about Virata Rupa. What all we assume in the Virata Rupa. Okay, so let's try covering that. Okay, great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Hoping you're able to see my screen. I don't know which screen I was sharing. So, okay, great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. The Brahmanas represent the mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and Shudras are born of his legs. The four Varnas, okay, we'll discuss in a bit. The lower planetary systems, up to the limit of the earthly stratum, are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from Loka, are situated in his navel, and still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of the Supreme Lord. From the forefront of the chest up to the neck of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary systems named as Janaloka and Tapaloka, whereas the Satyaloka is the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. Spiritual planets, spiritual planets, however, are eternal. Okay, and my dear son Narada, know from me that there are seven lower planetary systems out of the total 14. The first planetary system, known as Atala, is situated on the waist. The second, Vitala, is situated on the thighs. The third, Sutala, on the knees. The fourth, Talatala, on the shanks. The fifth, Mahatala, on the ankles. The sixth, Rasatala, on the upper portion of the feet. And the seventh, Patala, on the soles of the feet. Thus, the Virata form of the Lord is full of all planetary systems. Okay. Others are others may divide the whole planetary system into three divisions, namely the lower planetary systems on the legs up to the earth, the middle planetary systems on the navel, and the upper planetary systems, Swargaloka, from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the classification of the Virata Rupa. It's a very nice shloka. We'll try to cover that before we end up. Now, we saw the Karana Shrishti, the Karya Shrishti, we saw all these pieces. Okay. Um, Now, this is very nice analogy that is there. So I thought I'll have to tell this. Then we can continue. I'm sure you're seeing my screen. I've got some notes from the Bhakti Vaibhav classes that we attend. So remember, in farming, the seed is created by the farmer. So that example, what we previously saw about the train, was something very similar, right? So a farmer cannot decide what tree should come out of the seed that I'm putting it. That seed, if he puts a mango seed or an apple seed, that particular tree will come out. That the cost for that is the Supreme Lord. The farmer becomes the cause of planting, the secondary creation. And the water, the rains, the weather, the climate, whatever it is, they become the immediate cause for the tree or the plant to grow. Simple. How the causes work. We are also part of the same thing. We are sometimes the immediate cause, sometimes the intermediate cause. We can never be the ultimate cause. I've already seen. And Brahmaji is saying this. Okay. Uh, then in Shloka 32, it actually said that Brahmaji is, when he's doing the secondary creation, okay, the agitation, the details, everything happen, but the ultimate cause, like that seed, the quality of that seed, the ultimate assembly, even though Brahmaji is actually assembling them, the uh, details of the output is always by the will of the Lord. Can never remove the Lord out of the creation. That's the important part to understand. Okay, so the will of the Lord is the ultimate cause for us. Okay, I just skipped that. I had come down to the Virat Rupa. We'll again look at the Virat Rupa in terms firstly of Varnas. So we just read this, right? So the Virat Rupa is, how do we put it? Now the Virat Rupa is something that where have we heard this? We have heard it in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is asking Krishna to show the Virat Rupa. Krishna is telling Arjuna, "Behold, O Arjuna, my form," right? So there Arjuna is like, Ghoram, Ghoram, he's seeing everything, everything is happening there. Similarly, here, this particular form of the Lord, which has got thousands of heads, arms, the functioning of the entire universe is happening through the Virata form of the Lord, the understanding of Virata form of the Lord. Okay. Now, how are these classified? The lower are the legs, the Vaishyas, the Shudras are the legs, the running around. Vaishyas are the thighs, the Kshatriyas are the arms, and Brahmanas are the mouth or head. Oh, I heard this not from our Sampradaya, but from Sri Sampradaya also, saying that look, even in our Varna Ashrama, we are very, very clear that we give respect to each Varna. Each Varna has its own special place. Okay, it can be Brahmana who is actually the head or guiding of the society, or it could be the Shudra who is running around to do that. Because when we enter to see the Lord, by default we are told start by looking at the lotus feet of the Lord. We always go from there. The Shudras have a very important position. Now, I haven't seen it in a Sampradaya, so I'll not get into the details, but every Varna is very, very important, and every Varna you can get delivered, can go back. Okay. And the Virata Rupa here in this context of what we are reading, we are reading them from the Varna's position. That's all. There's not much more detail to go through. The second set of shlokas is the same Virata. If we have to look at the entire Brahmanda, now can I classify them using the planetary systems? We know the 14 planetary systems. Okay. The lower planetary system, Atala, Vitala, Sutta, Talatala, Rasatala, Pahatala, and Patala, and the higher planetary systems, the middle planetary system, Bhu, Bhuvar, Lokas, and the Swarga, Mahar, Jana, Tapa, and Satyaloka. These are the higher planetary systems. We all know this. Now, let's put a body to this, and with this body, we can actually start connecting. Some are missing the Patal Loka. It is actually the souls of the Lord. The lotus feet souls are called the Patal Loka. Okay. Now, um, before I get into the other planets, now please understand these are not planets. These are planetary systems. What is the difference? There are not 14 planets in Brahma's creation. There are 14 planetary systems. That means a group of celestial bodies, group of bodies in the sky. Bhuloka uh, here doesn't consist of only Bhumi, Bhumandala. So it's mandala. It's got a set of other planets as well along with it. Okay. Similarly, the higher planetary systems, it's not just one planet. For example, if you look at Swargaloka, for example, so Swargaloka will have a Swarga, which is typically your heaven. It'll also have Indraloka. It'll have something called the Gandharvas, the Charanas, and so on. Right. So it'll have a set. Okay. There are multiple celestial bodies that make up one planetary system. So in the lotus stem that actually flows from the navel of the Lord all the way to the Satyaloka where the lotus is there and Brahmaji is sitting. So there are 14 planetary systems. There are not 14 planets. Many people have this confusion. So just thought I should touch upon that. Okay. Now in this 14 planetary system, the soul which is the bottommost is the Patala. Then the upper portion of the feet is the Rasatala, ankles are your Mahatala, and so on. We just read that. It is right in front of you in the screen. Okay. What is the importance for us to know this? Why should I understand it this way? I should understand it this way for a simple reason that look, I have a possibility of going anywhere, higher, up, down, wherever I want in this planetary system. How do I go up or down? Through the karma that I can collect. The bank balance. It lets me buy a ticket. I can buy a ticket to Vrindavan, Mayapur. I can buy a ticket to Las Vegas or Bangkok. It is left to me. I collect punya, I collect papa. I can buy, I can afford a ticket. Okay, that's how you move across these 14 planetary systems. Very, very important shloka that we already know from Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma Bhuvarna Loka Punaravartina Arjuna. Even if you go to uh, Bhuvarna, Brahma Loka, the Satya Loka, the topmost of Loka, you will come down to this place because this is the place your karma will work. Can I exit out of any place or should I exit out of only Bhuloka? Well, you can exit out of any place. Ideally, Bhuloka gives you the best opportunity because you can directly associate with the devotees, connect with the Lord, and go back home, back to Godhead. But other planetary systems, typically the higher planetary systems, have a lot more enjoyment in terms of pleasure. When you look at Swargaloka, if you go there, wow, there is so much gross and subtle enjoyment. If you go to higher planet system, there's so much of peace of mind and happiness that comes from a mental aspect that going back is not going to be very easy. And the life scales are lot different. Okay, we will be hearing a lot more about this in the further canto, second and third canto. Third canto will also talk about this right from the beginning, and also in teachings of Kapil Dev, you will actually see this being covered. Okay, in simple, if I look at our Bhuloka, now from Bhuloka, there is 24 hours is one day. If you look at Pitraloka, which is also one of the celestial bodies, a little higher, Bhuvarloka, then you will see that Pitras have a duration of 1 month for them is one day for them is 1 month for us on Bhuluka. If you go still further up, okay, that means we do in for Pitra Pinda and everything we do, we're supposed to do Masika every month. If you go still higher, if you let's say go to the planetary system where Ganesh is there, so you will see that for them 6 months is 12 hours for us, or one day is 1 year for us. So when we do Ganesh Chaturthi, it is not his happy birthday. Every day he wakes up in the morning, we offer him. Like the lifespans as we go higher, we'll also talk about Satyaloka or the duration of Brahmaji's life someday when we are covering. But as we go higher, the lifespan is bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, all this is caused by what? Today's that is where we started. All this comes into picture the moment time factor comes into picture. Okay, we saw a very first shloka today. Today we saw the 21st shloka in the purport. Prabhupada that mentioned the word anadi. We don't know the time when all this started because there was no time or influence of time. And when time is put into it, the agitation starts, the creation starts, the maintenance starts, the annihilation starts. The cycle starts. That's what was mentioned. So we are in this world that has got a lot of cycle of going up and down. So Abram Bonaloka Punaravata, you go higher, you come down. Your bank balance is over, irrespective of if you're in Bangkok or Los Angeles, you'll have to come back to your Bangalore traffic and go back to office to work. Okay. So why do I need to know that all these are connected with the Virat Rupa of the Lord? Is because wherever you go, Lord's influence will be there. There is no place in the entire creation where you will not have the Lord. Okay. You don't like it, you like it, your Lord is still very much present. OEC, the cause of all causes, I was hearing a very nice katha recently. I thought I'll share it here. I might have shared it in the previous classes. I don't remember. But it was very nice. Is wherein there was a huge drought. There was lack of food in an entire village. Okay. Food had become very scarce, very uh, difficult to get. So people were running around, people were going. So what happened? One time some devotees actually put up a stall. There are two versions of this story. Let me actually tell you both the versions. We still have about 10-15 minutes so that we understand how we should take the whole thing. Okay. It was this story is actually said to be in Russia, where there was a lot of famine, there was no food and everything. So the communist actually put a stall in front of the church. lot of people were going inside the church. They were running out of food. They didn't have anything to live on. So they go inside, they pray. When they come out, these communists will actually tell, we will give you bread. You went inside and asked uh, your God there, did God give you bread? No, right? You ask me, oh, my dear friend, give me bread, I'll give you. You become my friend. Okay. So many people got converted to, the communist way of life or not accepting God and so on during that time. There was a wonderful uh, old lady with a small child. They actually came out, and the child was very hungry, and you could see it. The family was suffering. So the communists went to them and said, "Here is a loaf of bread. Please take it. And now you understand. Inside, you don't get. You go ask God. Nothing happens. Come and ask your friend. I will give you." So the lady took, told, "Thank you," and she told, "I understand very clearly now. I go and pray inside to the Lord. The Lord arranges even from an atheist to give me bread. That is the power of Lord." This person was completely shaken because he never expected someone to answer it that way. So that is where we should have faith, saying that look, everywhere there is influence of the Lord. You like it, you don't like it. In each of us, I was reading my Guru Maharaj's quote very recently. His Holiness Jayapadak Swami Guru Maharaj. "Uh, your family is not supporting today. Do not worry. There is always Lord who is supporting us because He's present everywhere. He's present in your family member who's not supporting today as well. Somehow or other, give them the mercy of Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. Somehow or other, give them some prasad. Let them chant. Let them touch a Bhagavad Gita. Just something, their life will transform. Some very quickly, some slowly. This will happen. Similarly, on the influence of the Lord, the other part of the story uh, is drought. This is more or less a made up story. It's not the Russian story, but we can understand. So there is, lack of food. So devotees actually put up a big stall and are trying to get food, and they're actually trying to distribute food, which we typically do in ISKCON, right? So there's food distribution that is happening, and everyone who comes in there say, please accept God and take the food. It's a very hungry atheist who came. Okay, these people told, you tell God exists, you can take the food and go. He said, but I don't believe in God. He said, there's no food for you. Okay, and they asked him to leave. After some time, the person who was heading it, he actually had a dream. The Lord comes in his dream and tells, for 40 years, I was feeding that atheist without bothering if he believed in me or not. Today, you think you are better than me asking him to tell Lord exists only then I will give you food. This is your ahankar. This person immediately understood. Oh, I am trying to preach God, but no, I understand. It's not. It's not that I am giving the message of God, but I am using my ahankar to actually think that I am becoming God. So you understand. So whenever we are doing any of these activities, we should be very careful. Are we trying to be Lord of the creation or Lord of the power that we have got? Because irrespective of which planetary system we are in, there is always influence of the Lord. Okay, the Lord is present everywhere. Okay, ultimately we have seen the Varnas. We have also seen the 14 planetary systems. The last shloka which talks about the upper, middle, and the lower planetary systems. Right. So many a times we'll see that there the classification of the planetary systems being three. Okay, that three is basically coming from this upper, middle, and lower planetary system. Swarga Loka and up, the Bhuvar Loka is the middle, and the Bhuloka and down are called the lower planetary systems. Okay, and the body of the Virata form, it's the legs, navels, and the chest to head of the dot. Okay, now we quickly go back. So we have seen that we have seen Abrahma Purna Loka, sorry, Bhuvana Loka, Punaravartinojana, Mamupetya Kaunteya, Punarjanmana. Vidyate. The second part says Mamupetya Kaunteya, Punarjanmana Vidyate. If you come to my place, there is no Punarjanma. You are out of this cycle. My understanding of this entire chapter is very simple. I understand there is this creation, there is a lot of these elements, there's a lot of things that are happening. The demigods are in charge. There are roles, positions available. I can also get a position. But ultimately, is one factor what Prabhupada says in this penultimate shloka's translation. Mamupetya kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Please understand, all these activities in the material world, we don't have to connect with them. We have to connect our activities with the Supreme. Go back home, back to Godhead. Yat katva na nivartante tad dhama paramam. The place where you go, you never have to come back. Voluntarily you can, but you're not forced to come back. That place, the ultimate place, is what we should all aim for. And the best, easiest process of actually doing it is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant, go back, be happy. Okay. So the sense Bhaktivedanta Purport translations for the fifth chapter, the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Cause of All Causes in the second canto. Okay. I'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, comments, if anyone wants to add on to whatever I had mentioned, please feel free.